Wow, John. Anthony Fauci he's planning the next surprise pandemic. How you doing tonight, John?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, it seems they've got their crystal balls out and they're polishing them. And you know how exciting it is when Fauci's polishing his balls. So we're going to take a closer look at his crystal ball and what he's talking about. And it seems that President Biden was talking about the same thing last
Well,
summer.
but hang on, because I think a lot of
Yeah.
people might not be up to speed. What exactly is it that we're talking about right now that we're going to be discussing in about 30 minutes on the sponsor exclusive segment on subscribestar.com/I am John Cullen, patreon.com/I am John Cullen. And I'm pleased to announce that there is a new sponsorship tier available to people on odyssey.com/@crowdsource the truth for just $3 a month and a small Odyssey fee. People can become sponsors on odyssey.com/@crowdsource the truth. But what is it that we're going to be talking about tonight during this sponsor exclusive segment?
Well, it seems that Dr. Fauci and President Biden are both in sync about this second pandemic. So they're not necessarily talking about another pandemic, which might be in 8 years or 10 years or 20 years. They're talking about a second pandemic. And all of a sudden, we're hearing stories. We've been talking about this H5N1 now for a number of weeks, right? We saw that there were a whole bunch of seals or sea lions on the coast of Chile maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago
That got it?
died. Yeah, and I said,
How?
did Kawaoka, remember I said, did Kawaoka go fishing in Costa Rica
Yeah,
because
I
all
mean,
the
how are
seals are
they?
dead in Chile? Yeah, it's
How?
like, how did that happen?
How do
Yeah,
seals
so it
get
must,
the flu? I mean, that's crazy.
Kawaoka drops his briefcase in the ocean off the coast of Costa Rica and kills 5,000 seals. That's how it
Well, they're
works.
mammals, right? So that's an interesting thing. Maybe they want to test it somehow.
Wow, you must have gone to public school.
I did.
They're mammals. Good work there.
Aren't they?
No, yes, yeah, of course. Sea lions, what do you think they are?
But I'm
Lizards?
saying,
Yeah, of
doesn't
course.
that mean their physiology is somewhat, so like if a fish gets sick from
Yeah,
something, it doesn't necessarily mean a human will, but I think those things are
correct.
kind of close to like wolves or something.
Yes, yes, yeah. And, they're not that different from you. They've got similar respiratory stuff,
Mm.
and if they can get H5N1, maybe we can get it too. So we're going to take a look at: are we ready for the next pandemic? And when we go to the patron-only portion of the show, we're going to take a very close look at some kind of strange developments in how certain stories and certain things, certain aspects of things that have been in the news seem to just be disappearing.
Hmm.
Like a story that was published maybe 2 or 3 years ago or a year ago, maybe having something to do with, why would Russia forge into Ukraine? All of a sudden, stories like that are just gone.
Oh,
It's
you
kind
mean
of weird.
deleted from the internet?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's like
Boy,
all of a
that's
sudden, it's like we have to go to the time machine to find everything now. It's like, well, who's ghosting all this material? So we're going to take a look at that as we explore this further. I'm also getting pretty impressed with the DAL-E module from ChatGPT and what it's putting out. I
uh,
mean, some of this artwork is spectacular, and we'll take a closer look at that in just a couple slides here on YouTube, because I think it's okay to look at artificial intelligence generated artwork, right? If that's okay, you're allowed to do that,
yeah.
right? If you can watch naked yoga, we should be able to watch artificial intelligence generated art, right? It's got
Not
to be
banned
better
yet.
than yeah, and it's got to be better than Hunter's work, right? So we'll take a look at that in just a couple
This is
slides.
an interesting
So
question coming to us from Automatic Selector. I don't know who that is, but
mhm.
RFK Jr. has announced that he's running for president. I think that's interesting. He's an exciting candidate. I wonder, though, he's a little bit controversial for the mainstream, and people who would vote for him probably want to vote for Trump. I don't know. Is he going to be like a Ross Perot kind of foil
Mm.
to divide something?
The interesting thing is he's a Democrat,
Yeah.
and he'll be treated much like Tulsi Gabbard was.
Right, ostracized from the Democrat, but they want Michelle Obama. And I heard today Michelle Obama, Gavin Newsom, That makes sense from the standpoint of
Oh
something that
yeah,
they would do. I don't think that would be a very good
sure.
administration. I don't think we would fare too well. But that seems more likely to get sold
That's
to
a
the public.
Yeah, yeah. That's a winning ticket on The View. That's a winning ticket for
Right.
Oprah. That's a win, right? So everybody in Hollywood, and right. So Steven Spielberg, David Geffen, Oprah
They'll vote for
Winfrey.
that. Yeah.
Not just vote for that. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
You have to understand how this works, right? David Geffen will host a
hmm
fundraiser on his yacht,
Oh, I know how it works. I mean,
right?
I've been
Yeah. I
to,
mean,
for state level legislators in California, these fancy house parties where it's like, what the hell is going on here?
yeah.
But
Remember the scene? Remember the scene in Batman when Bruce Wayne says to
which one?
there's a
There's a
scene where
million
Batman
Batmans.
says, well, in the Batman movie where Bruce Wayne says to what's his name, the commissioner, he says one fundraiser
Gordon.
with my friends, yeah, and he says one fundraiser with my friends, you'll never need another one
Yeah.
ever again.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like. If you had Michelle Obama and Gavin Newsom running, I mean that's their dream ticket. And so if RFK Jr. comes in, do they have to wait 4 more years? And that's kind of the wise move, I think. Anyway, I think DeSantis is out of his mind. He's causing too much trouble for himself, and he could be very successful if he just waited. I remember when Marco Rubio was running for president. I was
Yeah,
like,
nobody's voting for
what,
him.
what, what? What are you, 33 years old, 34 years old, and you're running for
He's
president? It's
older
like, what are
now,
you
and he
doing?
did good yelling at. He did well yelling at Victoria Nuland. There's something
Yes,
here
that
in
was his. Yes,
Newsweek. This
that
is
was my
talking
favorite
about.
Marco Rubio moment. Is him
Yeah.
against Victoria Nuland. I mean, to me, that's where he moved the needle the most. So, what do you have here? What's the story you got,
Well,
got
this
up
is
here?
just an article from Newsweek from back in. This is January, but saying that they are in the wings amid the
I don't
Biden
doubt it.
scandal. This is according to
I
a
don't
Trump
doubt it.
lawyer, so I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
I don't doubt it.
accurate or what. But what about this beef that's just bubbled up with Laura Loomer and Marjorie Taylor Greene?
I don't know about that part of it. I know that the Trump team was talking about bringing Laura on in some role having to do with her advocacy. And she's been a pretty strong Trump supporter and a really vocal DeSantis.
Yeah, Laura doesn't
She's
like him.
not one bit. So she's been all over DeSantis. And I guess Trump must love that because she's saying the things that he can't say. And she's saying the things that he wishes he could say.
Ooh,
And
John, look
she
at
said,
this. I've just
yeah,
realized this
yeah.
is also an encoded 33,
There you go.
3 times
I
11.
was just going to say that.
So what's up?
Exactly.
This is right here saying that Marjorie Taylor Greene warns Trump against hiring Laura Loomer here in the Hill. I don't like this. Why are these two people fighting so much? I mean, I appreciate both of them. There's things that they both do that I don't necessarily love. I mean, I don't think they should be calling each other mentally unstable and documented liars and all these kinds of things. This is just sort of infighting. I don't know what the deal is there. I haven't spoken to Laura in a couple of weeks, but I don't know. What do you think of all this, John?
Again, she's probably been the most outspoken anti-DeSantis
I would say.
Republican, and she's been equally vocal pro-Trump. And his campaign has to love that for whatever it's worth. Why does Marjorie Taylor Greene feel she's got to insert herself? I have no idea. I don't know what
Well,
she's getting in the midst of this for.
Well,
I
no,
mean, if she's got to
Marjorie Taylor Greene is, relatively new member of Congress, wants to cement her career there, her importance. She helped Kevin McCarthy. Now she's on
yeah,
committees and
yeah,
stuff. She's gaining power. She's gaining clout. She's close to Trump. She's appearing at these rallies and things like that. I'm a little concerned for Laura because I think right now, not making any kind of determination about each of these women personally, but just the position that Marjorie Taylor Greene is in, I think she's likely to win this fight.
I don't know. If Kevin McCarthy was making the choice, I think you're right. I don't know to
We'll
what
see what
extent
Trump
Marjorie
does.
Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know to what extent she has leverage over him, or
I think
But
it's just
she
putting.
was on.
I mean,
She was on 60 Minutes. She was on 60 Minutes last week,
I
right?
saw that. I thought it was a good
Yeah.
interview. I liked that interview with Marjorie Taylor Greene. But like, this is just like anytime two girls are fighting over a guy, it doesn't go well.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird look. I'm surprised that Marjorie Taylor Greene is making an issue out of it in public. I'm surprised this isn't happening behind closed doors.
But that's what I mean.
my
There's
take
got to
on
be
it.
something to it. And also remember, I first learned about this dust-up between MTG and the Double L when Laura came on the show to talk about that whole Nick Fuentes thing. And, Laura had said a few times in the past that she's friends with Nick Fuentes. And I understand the reason why she said that he was canceled on the internet, and she disagrees with his opinion, but fights for his First Amendment right to say it. And that is valid. I appreciate that about Laura. And both Marjorie and Laura have hung out with and been at events with Nick. So it's just kind of creating a big mess for all conservatives by having this fight, and I kind of wish it would go away. Pete Thomas says Marjorie Taylor Greene is a rhino.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Again, I don't pay that much attention to people, right? I'm
Don't pay that much attention to what, did you say?
To people. I'm not a people person. I don't care about individuals. I care about numbers and charts and maps and pandemics
Right. Well,
and
I mean, this is
major events. I care less.
But
about
we're in presidential election season here, and this is all the.
Yeah, absolutely. It's stuff that's taking place.
Yeah.
Why don't we share with the audience a little bit about what I've got prepared for them? And so this was kind of a big week. I had my most viral tweet.
Over 1,000. Look at that growth. 900 new. No, wait a minute. How many?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So this most viral tweet since I've been on Twitter. And if you guys aren't following me, it's a pretty wild ride. Posting, I'd say I post as much stuff in a day. I mean, it's just mind blowing, and the silence, the crickets,
Deafening.
the fact that it's unreal. It's like these things get a lot of views, and nobody can refute it. So this is the tweet that went viral this past week, and it's a video clip of Joe Biden speaking, and he has Jashish, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Who is that?
Standing next to him. He's the head of the COVID steering committee thing. So he's the new Dr. Birx, right? So he's Joe Biden's
scarf?
Dr. Birx. Yeah, exactly. He's got the yellow tie instead. So in this video clip that I posted on Twitter, Joe Biden says we need more money to plan for the second pandemic. There's going to be another pandemic. We have to think ahead. And it's.
But did he say the second? I think I saw this. He said the next pandemic, didn't he? Or he said the second
He said
pandemic?
exactly what it says in the tweet.
Wow.
Yeah, it says exactly what it says in the tweet. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, so that's what he said. So those are the words, and there's a video there, and you click on the video. Well, this got 3.5 million views, got 800 bookmarks, 5,000 likes.
Wow.
1,300 quotes.
Now, wait a minute. Where do we see that in your Twitter line here?
It's going to be down a bit. So the easiest way to get to it fast is go back up to the search box, the way we do it usually, and search for @I am John Cullen, and then space. All you need is second pandemic, 2ND pandemic, the number 2ND pandemic.
Oh, what did I do wrong here?
You just have 2D. You're a 2D, 3D guy.
Yeah, see, that's, I'm stuck in that
2ND
mode
yeah, 2D,
here. We got
3D.
the monoscopic pandemic.
There you go.
Okay.
2D, there you go. That's it.
Dude, so look at those numbers. 3.5 million views. Wow. Very good.
So this is the most viral thing that I've had, and people retweeting it and what have you. And so I picked up 900 followers since last week's show as a result.
But boy,
of that. Yeah.
Think about that, John. 3.5 million see it, 900 react and say that guy knows what he's talking about. By the way, I want to let people know the 21st Century 3D Twitter account has been let out of jail, and people can follow me at 21C3D. So this is not the CS The Truth Twitter account, and as we go back in time, there's a lot of stuff in here about stereoscopic projects, but it's come back recently. Did you see this guy stalking me and Charles the other day? Popped out of this building the second we walked by and says to me, "How's George?" Walks up right behind us and says, "Hey fellas, how's George?" Isn't that weird? Isn't that stalking?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you guys could use some bodyguards. So, the thing about this this premonition that Joe had about the second pandemic is that Dr. Fauci predicted a surprise outbreak a while ago. But also on Twitter this week, there's been a video of Dr. Fauci talking about there's going to be another pandemic. And so these two videos, so Dr. Fauci on Twitter talking about another pandemic, and Joe Biden saying we're going to need more money. I was like, didn't we just go through money?
He gave it all to Ukraine. Didn't we just
go through $8 trillion, and we went through $8 trillion for COVID, money. Right?
None.
So we need more money. We need more money for COVID, right? Because there's going to be another pandemic, all right? So that's what he's saying. And Dr. Fauci, I don't know if you can find the video. I didn't send you a link to the video of Fauci on Twitter. But basically, Fauci goes on one of the news shows and says, we got to be ready for the next pandemic. And of course, there's stories already floating around about this H5N1 and Marburg virus. Well, Marburg is as serious as you get. Now, I don't know that it has any kind of an R value. I don't know that it spreads that quickly. But man, oh man, Marburg kills a ridiculous number of people that get infected with it.
Let's listen to this dope, shall we?
Experience over the decades that I've been involved with this is that corporate memory of these things sometimes wanes the way immune responses to the virus wane, and people forget what went wrong, and then you wind up getting into the same situation you were in to begin with. So I don't mean to be pessimistic about it, but I really think we've got to keep reminding ourselves that, we don't know when the next outbreak is going to be. It could be a year from now, it could be 30 years from now, but we still have to be perpetually prepared. There are really clear lessons.
Perpetually prepared. He's just...
And just like before.
I don't know, just we didn't get the actual quote there, but he's a dope.
Well, we did, right? So we do Event 201, we do Cladex, we do Crimson Contagion. Johns Hopkins sponsors these things every year. Bill and Melinda Gates sponsors this stuff every year. And how prepared were we? Well, the first thing that happened was the test kits were contaminated. The second thing that happened was the stuff that we had in the national stockpile was the wrong stuff. Like we had Tamiflu or something like that in the stockpile.
I thought you wanted Tamiflu.
We heard from Dr. Jensen.
Flunoza or something you wanted.
Zofluza or Rolenza. There's newer antivirals, and they say that the oseltamivir, basically every physician that checks in with us says Tamiflu is not really what you would want to use on your family. So they're like, you'd want to use.
Wasn't there some Japanese flu thing that was
Zofluza? Yeah. So Zofluza. So Zofluza is from Shionogi, but one of the American companies now is handling distribution of Zofluza. So if you go to zofluza.com, it's with an X, XOFLUZA, zofluza.com. You'll see that's being distributed by one of the American company, one of the Swiss companies now. It doesn't show up. If you go to the bottom of the page and see who it's from.
The flu can act fast.
Who does it tell you this is from?
Genentech. That's an American company.
Right. So Genentech is handling the distribution for Shionogi. Shionogi invented it, and Genentech is manufacturing.
I think they're in Minnesota.
I'm not sure. I don't know. But pretty respected company.
Corporate headquarters is in South San Francisco with additional manufacturing facilities in Vacaville, Oceanside, and Hillsborough. I bet you they have cows in Vacaville.
I bet they do. So I was mentioning before the artificial intelligence artwork that I
Hmm.
saw in this past week coming out of Dali is really remarkable.
But how do you know
And
it's Dali? Because there's a lot of them
well,
now.
so it may not be, but
Yeah,
Dali
because
is
this
kind of
doesn't
like
look like
the
Dali to me. This looks more like Stable Diffusion. It allows you to have a lot more control.
remarkable.
Yep.
I'm blown away by this, and it's like, wow, that you can generate stuff like this
Yeah.
is really impressive. So
Mm-hmm.
whoever put this together, tip of the hat. The comment that somebody put on it was they've never seen a more accurate depiction of Fauci, and I think all things considered, it's artwork, right? So artwork is artwork. It's
Yeah.
what are you going to say? All right, so another kind of strange development in the last week seems that some of the videos that I'm posting are getting
Right.
deleted by people at Twitter. This happened again. So we talked about it last week. This is a different case. So Jamie Metzel's talking about raccoon dogs.
Who is
And I'm
he?
like, he's, I don't know, some guy. He was testifying in front of Congress a week or two ago. And
Why would a raccoon dog be sold at the? Doesn't he mean
red
Wuhan?
herring. It's another red herring. It's like Jesus Campos, right? This has nothing to do with
Raccoon
what
dog.
was killing 4,000 people a week in January and February 2020 in the United States. These are the red herrings are things for you to go chase. Right? Imagine that there's a school of herring, and there's 100,000 herring, but one of them has a genetic mutation and it's red, and it stands out. And so the prey tend to chase that one red fish.
Is that where that comes from?
That's what a red herring is.
Huh.
That's your red herring. So the red herring in this case are all the stories about Wuhan and Peter Daszak and raccoon dogs and bats.
Now, wait a minute. It apparently is a real thing. Oh, here it is in Ukraine. The raccoon dog is supporting Ukraine, John.
Yeah. No, nobody said raccoon dogs aren't
This has
real.
got to be fake. Is this really a thing?
The raccoon dog? Yeah.
Asian raccoon dog.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
There's a Japanese one too.
Yeah. So the fact that they're even talking about did the virus come from the raccoon dog is like Fauci's dream come true. He wants you debating about raccoon dogs and bats and pangolins for the next 5 years, because that keeps your attention away from the thing that just killed 1 million Americans, right? So that's kind of the problem here. So let's go to the next slide. So I don't understand why my videos are being deleted by Twitter if Elon Musk got rid of all the FBI creeps that work there. I guess he didn't. So there's still FBI creeps working at Twitter. Speaking of which, we have a breaking story. Am I allowed to do breaking story? Breaking story? Breaking news?
Yeah, I guess there's a sound
effect. Can we do that?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, wait, I think, here we go. Okay, we got a breaking story. Breaking story. News. That's a sound story. The FBI broke into a hotel room of the wrong guy. Can you see if you can pull this story up? It should be a Fox News story. FBI breaks into the wrong room, and it turns out it's a pilot, and they're doing an FBI training exercise, and they kick in the door of the wrong guy's room.
Not surprising. They're idiots.
Okay, tell me if you can find it.
Yeah. I got it.
Yeah. You got it. Yeah. So there's the story, and I'm reading
Did they shoot him?
I'm like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you guys are going to get yourselves killed.
Or
You're
somebody.
going to get you. I think the FBI guys are going to get killed.
Because if the person in the room had a gun, you mean?
Yeah. What if it was me? What do you think would happen? It's like,
I'd be like, what's all the gunfire in the adjacent room?
Right? I mean, again, I keep coming back to Haiti. The president of Haiti was assassinated by a bunch of guys yelling DEA, DEA, yeah. Unless you've got badges and a warrant and a subpoena and an email or snail mail. But this no-knock warrant stuff, man, somebody's gonna get hurt. They're out of their minds. They kicked in the wrong guy's room.
But how about how stupid they are that they like?
Yeah, I mean, that's the part you don't even have to say. But it's like, what are the consequences of this? He could have been killed. He could have shot them. One more minute. Flip over to one more slide. I was able to connect with Dr. Mark Changizi this past week, and he and I recorded a podcast that's going to go live tomorrow on Rumble. And if you flip to the next slide, you'll see what the thumbnail looks like. So the thumbnail for that show is on the next slide. And that's Heroes of the Pandemic with Dr. Mark Changizi.
Where did you get a 3D model of him? He gave you that?
No, that's another one of these
AI.
DALL-E type. Yeah. So one guy posted a bunch of AI artwork of all the heroes of the pandemic, and I grabbed this one of Mark because he was recording. And then the last bit on the next slide, and then we'll pop over to patrons only. Dr. Drew finally succumbed.
He's following
now
you.
Following.
There we go.
Me.
Good. I like Dr. Drew.
I like him too. He and Scott Adams have been talking about my work.
Really?
Without mentioning John Cullen.
Why?
They talk about, well, I saw charts that, and because of, again,
like
you don't want to admit that. Yeah.
All right, but we got to wrap here, John, because we've got to get over to our sponsor exclusive segment, and we're pushing the clock. People are going to be able to watch that on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, where you can get a discount membership if that appeals. Of course, you've got crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We'll see everybody over there in less than 5 minutes. We got a lot to discuss with Dr. Drew, Fauci predicting the next pandemic, and a lot of other stuff.